Are you doing fine? At me.
The Commissioners Court of Brazos County will meet in regular session on July the 28th, 2026, at 10 a.m. The County Commissioners Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. The first item on the agenda is the invocation pledge of allegiance of the U.S. and Texas flag. Commissioner Brown will lead those.
Thank you, Judge. Heavenly Father, help us manage your resources with wisdom and integrity. Grant us the discipline to be faithful in small things, knowing you watch over all. Teach us to view everything we possess as gifts entrusted to our care. May our administration honor you and bless others. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Condola isn't here today. He was on vacation. He was planning on coming in on video, but I talked to him yesterday, and he said the service out there was bad enough that he didn't think he could stay with us, so he won't be here this morning. So the next item on the agenda is call for citizens' input and/or concerns, and we've got four to speak, I believe. Kathy Vins.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Kathy Vins, Precinct 4. I had an idea, came to me last session. When we have presentations made at the podium at our agendas, and the court is allowed to ask questions, there's people here in the audience who have tons of questions, and we've never been asked if we have a question that might be interesting to ourselves and to you and to the people that are listening online. So my ask is that when presentations are made and you are offered the opportunity to ask questions, if the public is also open to asking questions. The other thing that I wanted to ask about is I remember not long ago that Homeland Security subpoenaed our county election records and the voter rolls, and I didn't hear anything yet from our dais about what the status of all that is. And I thought it might be of interest, actually it should be of interest to you, that in Austin, the Committee on Elections in the State House has hearings next week on Monday and Tuesday. Mondays, trying to remember what Monday, the House Committee is meeting on technology in elections, and Tuesday, the topic is integration of early and election day voting and agency oversight. And as representatives of our community and your interest in our election integrity here, I would ask that at least one or two of you go attend that election committee hearings on Monday and Tuesday, or send a representative to represent the community here. It's your oversight of our elections, and it's your accountability to the public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ellen Fuller.
Come on down. Good morning,
Morning.
Judge, Commissioners.
I just wanted to share some exciting news about one of your Brazos County alumni, Veteran Service Officer Pam Robertson. She did a great job here for our county, and she's now up in Colorado. But, you know, she has like a lot of time on her hands, so she has written the VSO handbook. This is the first one. We presented copies to all three of the Veteran Service Office here in Brazos. There are two other ones that will be coming out next month, but if she can teach what she learned here, not just in Colorado, but throughout the nation, it would be what a fantastic reflection on the base that she got here. So I just want to say thank you, Hometown Girl Makes Good, and thank you for your continued support of veterans and their families. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
And we'll leave a copy, Marcia, if anyone wants additional information.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
It's great to hear about Pam. She truly was a great service to what we do here, and she just set the standard of what a veteran service officer should be. So I'm just pleased to hear that she's continuing to do that.
With a widow and her daughter. I went to the office on Friday, met with Kale. We went through all that information, and we're getting some more information for memorial benefits.
Thank
So
you for-
it's not just veteran service officers, it's anyone in the community or veteran or their family. So thank you again.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Okay, thank you. Cindy Wiley.
Good morning. I would like to recap President Trump's address to the nation on 7/16 regarding our elections. President Trump said, "No country can be great without fair and honest elections. This is not a partisan issue. Every American should share this opinion." He said, "Every American deserves to know when they cast their vote will be counted accurately. The system we have today falls catastrophically short of that standard." His purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in elections, but to earn the confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very quickly. That is what they are doing. Starting in 2020, China acquisitioned 220 million U.S. voter files, their names, addresses, party preferences, and other sensitive data. Our intelligence agencies did not disclose to our president or to Congress. Our government agencies know our electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems are vulnerable and easily compromised. Documents have been unclassified, posted at whitehouse.gov. Documentation from January 2020 to June 2026 showing election-related data repositories such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries use as access to the systems to disrupt election processes within USA. DHS has found approximately 278,000 non-citizens registered in just 4 states. Great damage has been done to our country. Whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system in the world. President Trump's administration is committed to helping states fix and patch known technical difficulties before November. The president has ordered DHS to notify states regarding removing all non-citizens and ineligible voters off their voter rolls. The DHS is requiring states to adopt common sense election security measures before receiving federal funds. I've attached several articles for you guys to see. A side note, Hart InterCivic, which serves, we use their equipment, they were bought out in 2020 to a Washington, D.C. company, so they're no longer Texas-based. Changing the subject. In January 2025, this diocese transition was bumpy, delayed agenda items, and frustrations with processes. I would like for January 2027 to go better. We know 2 seats are uncontested, County Judge and Commissioner Precinct 2. Commissioner Precinct 4 is yet to be determined. I understand incoming officials can't be told everything before taking office, but I'm asking this dais to share what latitude the law allows regarding both of these men. To share briefings regarding the budget, tax rate, tax abatements, and economic development already underway. Here's the core concern. If the budget and tax rate are locked in before new members are seated, those members will be held accountable by voters for decisions they never got to vote on. That is not fair to them or to us as taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Peter Michelina.
Hey, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Peter Michelina, Precinct 4. A couple things here. I just want to talk about how back to school is coming up right now. We have a lot of students that are prepping to come back to school. And I wanted to mention that the VFW and other organizations, the Masonic Lodges of Brazos Valley, we're getting together and we're hosting a back to school drive this week. And we'll be passing out backpacks on Saturday and hot dogs. So come by, get some food, and then pick up a backpack with school supplies to help the students. And also I'd encourage everyone to reach out to other organizations that are helping students right now because they definitely could use the support. I know school supplies are expensive. Going back to school right now is expensive, and I think that we could all do our part to help the community. Another thing too, this is a little different. Like, we haven't really talked about this in a while, but I wanted to ask y'all to host a workshop on the Brazos Transit District. I feel like there is a lot of things that are going on with the transit district, and I want us to assess whether it's serving the community needs right now, especially in Precinct 4 as well as other parts of Brazos County. I think that we could be better served by the way the transit district is operating. Doing a workshop helps us assess how this is impacting the community, where we can improve, and just plan for the future. I haven't heard it discussed in a while, and I think that it would be good to get all the officials in one room and host a workshop just so we can get some community input as well as discuss how the future for the Brazos Transit District as the county continues to grow. That's all. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all for citizen inputs, so we'll move on to presentation. The first presentation by Austin Fannin of Sesquicentennial Celebration, celebrating 150 years at Texas A&M University. Morning.
Good morning. Howdy. Thank you for having me.
Howdy.
Appreciate it. Yes, we are celebrating 150 years of Texas A&M University, the Sesquicentennial, easier to say 150 years. And just want to give you some updates on our plans for celebrating throughout the upcoming school year. I'm on the planning and steering committee for these celebrations, and we've been working on this for a while now. And we wanted to start with trying to figure out exactly what we want to celebrate. And we've determined these pillars: living out our Aggie core values, honoring tradition, celebrating academic excellence, exemplifying selfless service, driving discovery, and cultivating leaders. We're doing that through a number of different things, and I just want to highlight those for you today. Our celebration timeline, we're calling it the Prelude right now. You might see it in some things like graduation, new student conferences, things like that. The actual university's 150th birthday is on October 4th of this year, and so our celebration is really October through May, kind of the school year time frame. We have some large signature events. There will be a lot of other things, and we're encouraging community members, other departments of the university to fill in and celebrate throughout the year, but some of our signature events. We're starting, this is kind of a timeline of what it looks like in October. A lot of things in October. We'll have a speaker series throughout the year, and then we're ending in April with some large events as well. We're starting with an opening ceremony on October 2nd because the actual university birthday is on a Sunday, October 4th, so we're celebrating on that Friday with a ceremony on the steps of the Jack K. Williams Administration Building. We invite you all to come out. It's celebratory. We'll have some speakers, but we'll also have student performances. We'll have some music. We'll have visual representation of the growing of the university throughout the last 150 years. Great reception afterwards, so I invite you all to come to that. That evening, we're doing a special yell practice. We moved it up from midnight. I know many of us don't like to go to the midnight version anymore. And so we're moving this one at a special time at 9 p.m., so invite families to come. We'll have yell leaders throughout the years there. We will have some special things, and then we're ending it with a drone show, the first one open to the public on campus. And so that will be an exciting time. A lot of other things happening on campus that day, so invite everybody to participate, and then that's the day before the Arkansas football game where there will also be celebrations happening. Throughout that next week, You'll see a lot of things happening, especially on campus, and again, encouraging the community to be involved. We're going to have treats and birthday meals for students across campus. We have special $1.50 ice cream on campus. We have things like that at dining halls. We're going to kick off our speaker series. We're also, I'm going to talk a little bit more about, there's a documentary coming out on our PBS station, KAMU. That's going to be the premiere of that, something we invite you all to come to as well. So I'm just giving you highlights of things to look for. I'll say this a couple times, but you'll see the updated calendar, 150.tamu.edu, and that's where you can keep finding these events as they keep growing and growing throughout the year. I mentioned the speaker series. We really wanted to bring back Aggie former students that have learned and then gone out into the community and into the world to do great things. Here's our lineup here. We have leaders that have started businesses that you're familiar with, whether it be things like Roku or Buc-ee's, and then leaders in business. We have athletes that have won gold medals or Super Bowls or national championships in other sports, and then we're going to do some academic things in Lansing space. And so we're developing that, growing, and come on to campus. These will all be held in Rudder Theater Complex. Come on and hear these speakers come and speak about what they've done and what they learned in Aggie Land and then took into the world. Those will go throughout the year, and now we're kind of jumping forward into the spring. We're going to have a large parade, one of the first ones we've had on campus. We have our community parades, which are fantastic. We're calling this the Aggie Family Parade. We'll see everybody participating. We'll have some of the local community groups participating, as well as favorites like the Fighting Texas Aggie bands, departments, colleges, our affiliates. We're looking forward to some Macy-style balloons and some great things in this program. The route, we really designed it to be both campus and community so that everybody could see it. So starting at the clock tower on campus and then cutting through Kyle Field and Aggie Park, great places to view a parade, out to George Bush, and then back through campus in front of the Jack K. Williams Administration Building, down Old Main, and then ending at City Hall. So there will be sections. We're working with all the transportation departments on closing the streets, and you know what that will take, and we'll go into that. But it should be a great time for everybody to come and view that. We'll also do live viewing again on KAMU, so you can watch it, see commentators talking about, giving a little background on each of the floats. So it'll be a great way to participate if you're in town or out of town on the local TV station. That weekend, this will happen on April 10th next year. That's Family Weekend. So there's other things that are happening, the Aggie Moms Boutique. And this year, athletics, because of the excitement, has moved the spring game to that day as well. So there's going to be a lot of things happening on campus that day. We're going to end the celebration in the event side with a festival, and that'll be the last weekend, kind of before finals, before graduation. Really wanted to catch students while they're still on campus, but this is definitely, we want the community to come and take part in this festival. So that's going to be April 30th and May 1st in Aggie Park and around Kyle Field. We're really looking at it as 4 parts. We're going to have music, carnival games, food, lifestyle, and then some interactive activations. So we'd love for people to come on. It's a no cost to come and enjoy. Then there might be pay for food, pay for music, pay for things like that. But come on down, check things out. See, we're going to have a lot of different vendors with special products, as well as highlighting some of our academic programs that are doing great things out in the world, as well as just music and fun. So it's family friendly, good for all ages. Would love to see everybody to come down that last weekend. Again, that's in spring of 27. So those are a couple of the large events, and like I said, more information will be coming out about those. Wanted to give you guys the preview as you'll start to see those out in the community and start to hear more about those. There's also a couple signature products as we can learn about the history of our university and especially its impact on the community. We'll have a museum exhibit, specially curated by our librarians, our archivists. They put a lot of work into this, and it's going to be in the MSC in the gallery there, and that's going to be open from October all the way through May. So make sure to get down to campus, check out this exhibit, some artifacts that have never been seen before coming out of the archives, really telling the entire history all the way up through future, getting into things that we have researchers tackling right now. We'll be able to see old things, what campus looked like, the original water tower before the new iconic water tower, old Corps uniforms. Here's some mock-ups. Of course, Aggies at War. It's split into multiple eras for how Texas A&M answered the call and affected the world. So be sure to come and take a look at that exhibit. Also wanted to point out there's a book that's off to print right now. It should come late fall in time for the holidays, and it's called What Endures, A Visual History of Texas A&M University. Again, pulling forward a lot of those photos, a lot of things we haven't seen or maybe have seen. It turned into, we started with a short book and they worked so hard on it, it's turned into 356 pages, but very visual. It's not one that you're gonna sit down and read so much of it, a lot of visuals. It'll be a great coffee table book, a great gift for people. So I'll encourage people to check that out as well. Here's some pages from that. You'll see things, you know, from local flora and fauna when this was just a prairie, and built a university there that was just a little university on the prairie that grew into a international powerhouse. You see some of the artifacts that you'll see in all of this. And then I mentioned this earlier, but our local PBS station that is part of the university, KAMU, has been working on a docuseries that I think will be fantastic. And they started with it small, started thinking maybe it'd be one episode, and then it grew, and now it's up to 6 episodes, just showing so many things, the depth and breadth of the university. And it's not just, you know, it is history, but it really talks about Aggies answering the call and helping in the world is one episode. The next episode is kind of the history of the soul of Aggie land. Other ones are understanding our planet. The next one, Built to Heal, really about how the medical industry has changed thanks to some Aggie innovations. Work that changed everything, and then the last episode is focused on space. Those are going to be released throughout the year, so the first one will come out in October. We will have some viewing parties on campus, but then you also can get it, you can watch it on KAMU, live on TV, as well as on the KAMU or the PBS app throughout the year. So I encourage you all to check that out and really dive into that history. Just want to let you know some things that are happening, ways you can get involved. Or if you have organizations or affiliates that might have information. Again, 150.tamu.edu is exactly where we want people to go for up-to-date information. Right now it's kind of bare bones. We'll do releases as more things come out. We're looking at more, you know, release music acts, release more speakers, and so keep checking that out. There's a whole toolkit with logos. Hopefully you guys caught on that the logo is Here for Good. Which is, I think, very appropriate. The university is here to do good in the community, in the world. Of course, the word here means a lot to Aggies through Aggie Muster, but then we're also here for good. We've been here for 150 years. There will also be a theme of beyond 150. We're not going anywhere. We're here to continue to be a good force in the nation, state, and the world for a long time to come. There's a toolkit if you go to that website. If you need logos, if you need to understand how to use that usage, how you can use it in your different organizations that you're involved with. Again, we hope that this isn't just a celebration. This is a moment to reflect on the university, all the great things that it's done, really reinforce our mission, why we were founded 150 years ago, and how we started, how we've grown, and then that really help us to strengthen relationships, reinforce our story, educate and enlighten people all the great things that are happening at Texas A&M, and then fortify our future. We have a small steering and planning committee, but then there's a lot of people that are working on this. This is just our acknowledgments, but just to know, you probably know somebody at the university who has their fingers in this somewhere. It's a giant team effort. So thank you, everybody. Hopefully you check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and it's going to be a really fun year in our community.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Would you like to come up, we'll take a picture with
Sure.
the court? Well, just come stand right here in front and we'll.
I also have, so you can remember the website. I've got magnets for you all.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
One more. Barbara was taking.
Let him shift to the left a little bit. Yeah, Austin, go that way just a tad. There we go.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. Thank you. Next is presentation of the 24/7 sobriety program with Christine Adam and of the Texas Transportation Institute. Morning.
Morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Judge and Commissioners. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Christine Adams. I'm in the Center for Alcohol and Drug Education Studies at the Texas A&M Transportation Institute. We are working on a project funded by the Texas Department of Transportation. It is to disseminate information on the 24/7 sobriety monitoring program, which I'm going to talk to you about here in a minute. So this is actually a proven strategy. It's been in existence about 20-plus years, proven to reduce DWI recidivism within communities and also other harms created by substance-related crimes. So it's an evidence-based strategy that monitors individuals who have experienced more than one DWI. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but it is designed to monitor these folks to ensure sobriety while they are being monitored by either probation or the courts. So the program does operate year-round, and it is there is a twice-a-day breath testing procedure by which they show up once in the morning and once in the evening, usually before work, and then again after work to ensure that they're maintaining their sobriety throughout the course of the program. So it does support offender supervision through the court monitoring or community supervision. It definitely enhances public safety by making sure that these folks are actually abstaining from alcohol and drugs while they're being monitored. It provides some accountability to these folks. A lot of them are suffering with addiction challenges, and that kind of gives them the accountability showing up to report to either law enforcement or supervision. The great news is it provides an alternative to incarceration. So this allows them the opportunity to community working with their employer and maintaining their relationship with families and friends. And support some cost savings also by reducing the number of jail beds. So as I mentioned, it's twice a day alcohol testing. We also do randomized drug testing to ensure that they're swapping substances. So if we're asking them to abstain from alcohol, sometimes they will try and access other things. We know THC is becoming prevalent in communities, so that's an easy swap because it's also in the alcohol stores. If they are to violate the program, there is a swift and certain sanction that is immediate. And we'll talk about what that could look like, but it is dependent on the jurisdiction and how the stakeholders decide to set up the logistics of the program. This can be applied in a pretrial setting, but also can be done after conviction. And so I think in the Brazos County, we're talking mostly at a post-conviction level. So as I mentioned, the sanctions are graduated. So if they are not abstaining from alcohol and drugs, then the consequences get a little bit stricter as we go along. There's been a lot of research conducted on this strategy. It is in NHTSA's countermeasures that work as a deterrent strategy. Lots and lots of research studies showing that those swift and certain consequences are proven to change behavior. So it first launched in South Dakota in 2005. They've had a long standing program up there in the Dakotas, both north and south. Montana has also had a lot of studies done on them. You can kind of take a look at the results there. But I will point out that South Dakota has administered almost 14 million tests, and they have over a 98% pass rate. So the folks who go through this program, we're not putting them in jail frequently. It is a rare occasion that somebody shows up and does have alcohol or drugs in their system or misses a test. There is a video link. I know y'all have this presentation, so you're able to look at that whenever you may choose. The frequent alcohol testing with the swift, certain, and modest sanctions is what creates the improved public safety. So I have worked in impaired driving for a very long time. I have met many victims of this particular crime. All of them had nothing to do with the crime that was occurring, and it's devastating to families and to communities. So this is why I'm pretty passionate about this. And on the other side of it, if we're not just talking about the victims, but we're actually talking about the participants, this allows them an opportunity to see life through sober lenses and often improves their outcomes as well. So just a little bit about the design of the program. Judges are typically the ones who decide on the criteria for who's eligible for the program. But Ideally, it is for folks who have received more than one DWI, or it could also be for folks who have aggravating circumstances. So that might be a high BAC over a .15, maybe a child passenger in the car, and we have increased the penalties for DWI in an active school zone. So that could be another circumstance by which somebody might be mandated to this program. That testing occurs with preliminary breath tests, as I mentioned, once in the morning and once in the evening. Drug testing is typically conducted through urine, although we have oral fluid now, so that would be an option for consideration as well. Other options to be considered by the jurisdiction would be like a continuous alcohol monitoring device, remote breath testing, or drug patch, although I don't love drug patch because it doesn't allow for that swift and certain consequence. So non-compliance for the program will trigger that sanction, and those will increase over time. So violations would be failing a drug test, failing the PBT, missing a test, or other conditions of the program. So a typical response in states that are already imposing this program usually looks like a 12-hour hold on the first failure, second would be 24 hours, and third would be 48. This is completely up to the jurisdiction to decide. Some areas are contemplating how they can do this with like community service instead of jail time, and so it's really up to the stakeholders in the jurisdiction. So let's see here. This is the part that I suppose the commission is probably interested in. It is an offender pay model, and so once you have a certain amount of participants in the program, it will break even, and so there's no money that needs to come from the taxpayers or counties at that point. To get started, obviously, we need some startup funds. We at TTI have identified a foundation here in Houston that's interested in studying this program from its inception. Most of the studies that have been done so far have happened after the program was already stood up within an area. So they are looking to study the program from inception and are willing to provide some of those startup costs. And there's also an opportunity through the Texas Department of Transportation to continue funding if that's necessary. So best practices and recommendations. Uniform procedures is always helpful so the participants know exactly what to expect. Making sure that we're checking on that alcohol use twice a day with random drug testing in between. Those immediate sanctions for noncompliance are hugely important. That's what actually changes the behavior, and then maintaining that funding and accessibility. So where we're at right now in Brazos County, we're working actually alongside Smith County as well up in Tyler. Both counties are about in the same spot. We have a stakeholder advisory group where all participants that would be in charge of executing this program come together and discuss logistics and try and start working through what would this look like, where would it be held, what are the sanctions, those types of things. And then we'll be collecting the data as we stand up the program and start to move along to ensure that we can adjust the program as necessary along the way. Everyone will have the clear objectives and guidelines, setting goals and operational procedures, and then we'll continuously monitor to make sure it is actually improving community safety. So there is my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them now, or you're able to reach out to me too. Yes,
So
ma'am.
once a client, I guess, I don't know, candidate client finishes the program, is it removed from their record? What do they get? I mean, I know that it's a good thing for them not to have to go to jail, but
Sure.
are there any little extra perks or,
I think that-
except for the health and the choice not to drink, but
Well, it does in fact like help folks realize sobriety is probably a better option for their life. So
Right,
that's
right.
definitely an advantage. We're talking through some incentives now that has not been discussed as one. I would say when you're talking about someone who's already been arrested for this crime multiple times, it's probably not wise to expunge the record just because you need to be sure to enhance penalties should they choose to do that again.
got it.
But certainly that would be a point of discussion for the stakeholder group to decide if there is some type of incentive that they'd like to offer in that way.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you all for your time today. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Glad to see there's a program here
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, next we have presentation and discussion by Trevor Lansdowne, Director of Project Management, and Bob Lampkin, Director of Facility Services on deferred maintenance.
Oh, we get the whole team. That's great.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. It's been a while since we've talked deferred maintenance, and so with budget season coming up, we wanted to get in front of you to kind of show you where we're at with the Phase 2 findings from the building evaluations that we had performed. Again, this is a joint venture between project management and facility services, but in reality, there's a lot of other folks working on this in the background too, from budget, audit, purchasing, and then obviously the court to kind of set the guidelines and the framework around what we're trying to do here. So I'm just going to set the stage and then kind of let Bob go through the building findings, and then we'll talk funding kind of towards the end. So again, back in the fall and early spring, we engaged with VLK Architects to do full building evaluations on 4 of our facilities. That was the detention center, the adult jail facility, the sheriff's department, the courthouse, and then the Brazos Center. And so we engaged with them. They hired some sub-consultants to help us out looking at all of the rest of our facilities. So 06 Consulting is an envelope consultant. We first started working with those folks on the admin building. They're the ones that helped us find all the issues that we had in the envelope. And so they were a good firm to help us to evaluate the rest of the facilities. And then Eddie Hare, who's a registered accessibility specialist with the state of Texas, helped us to identify any ADA issues at any of our facilities. And then Coulter Company is an estimation firm that VLK engaged with to provide us with construction rough order of magnitude costing for a lot of the issues that we found out through the assessments. So again, just setting the stage, and I'm gonna let Bob take it from here and kind of go through the findings.
Yeah, so as we started getting the reports back kind of in May, June, July, we were reviewing those with VLK.
Introduce yourself to the
I'm sorry.
audience.
Bob Lampkin, Director of Facility Services.
Thank you.
So as we got those reports back, we sat down with VLK, kind of looking at a high level, what they were seeing, what they saw them there. We were walking with them the entire time, taking them in all the nooks and crannies of the building so that they could ask questions, see everything they needed to see. And so kind of the way that VLK does their priority definitions is priority 1 is 0 to 2 years. It's kind of a must do. It's life safety. It could be code violations. It could be critical if we got something that's getting ready to fail any day. Priority 2, kind of 2 to 5 years approaching system replacement. This could be something that's on a life cycle. We could say it's a 20-year piece of equipment. We're at year 17. We know that it's going to be going out in the next few years. And we need to be proactively looking at how do we budget for that and take care of that. Priority 3, 5 to 10 years. This could be anything from, carpet in a building, wall finishes. It could also be, again, HVAC equipment. We've got a newer building. The life cycle or a chiller is 20, 25 years. We're gonna put that on the list, but it's not something we need to address for 5 to 10 years. And then we also kind of had the M code, which was facilities, things we were going to be addressing in-house. Those could be ongoing maintenance for expansion joints, for cleaning of the outside of facilities and things like that. So we'll kind of go through the 4 buildings that we did the 4 kind of big assessments on, and kind of talk through, again, at a high level, some of the things we saw. So at the detention center, it was kind of our, our largest area exposure there, kind of looking at security, MEP, so the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then the building envelope itself. And so the entire kind of priority 1, priority 2 items came up to $23.5 million, with about 12.9 of that being in the critical or the 0 to 2 year need. That also included some building envelope work, and kind of the rough order magnitude. Our ROM on that's about 3.6 million. Again, there's older air handlers out there that we've been keeping alive since 1999. There's again, the building itself, the precast panels. We're needing to do some sealing and things on that, and as well as windows, just to get those back into place so we're not having water come into the building to do ongoing damage. The Brazos Center, this picture is one where we kind of knew we had a leak. 06 kind of helped us identify exactly where that was coming from the outside. They were able to recreate some of that water coming into the building. Again, from the outside of the building, if you've been out there and looked at that facility, the mortar between the bricks is gone. It needs some substantial work, very similar to what we've got going on with the admin building right now. Again, age of the building, there's some air handlers that we need to do. Again, the outside panels of that building. And we're doing some of those things in our budget. You'll see those in the coming weeks as we start to talk about that. These aren't just things that we're not looking at, or we've totally just said, oh, that's deferred, we'll do it someday. We've pulled those into our budget, and we're working through those at this time. And so again, you'll see some of those in our budget proposal for next year. But this is, again, a lot of these things are in addition to that. The courthouse, again, kind of aging central plant, or the chillers and the cooling towers on that one. Overall, $9.8 million, $4.2 million in that 0 to 2 years, things that we need to get done. This roof area, it's one that we didn't do from the hailstorm. And kind of all the years of history out there, putting multiple buildings together, we have a lot of issues at those joints where those buildings are coming together, and we've been actively working on those now. But again, there's still a lot of work to be done, and this area is going to need, a re-roof. But again, and then the whole curtain wall around that thing, we need to reseal that, clean it, reseal it, to prevent water from coming in from that direction. Sheriff's office, this is, again, it's a building, and you'll see in our buildings as we kind of go through, a life cycle on a building, a lot of time on the equipment, MEP, things like that, is going to be 20 years. And so when you start to look at when we did buildings, this building here, when we did the remodel in 07, 08, a lot of the jail, the new side we did in 2010, the SO 2007, 2008 timeframe. These are all coming to the end of life cycles on some of the equipment that's in there. Our biggest area out at the sheriff's office is just, it's kind of the stucco, the outside of the wall. So we did a new roof out there probably about 3 years ago now, and we've working through some warranty issues and getting things repaired on that. But if on the outside wall, there's actually water that comes in around the windowsill, runs down from the second floor down to the first floor. And so again, we've got a lot of work to do on the exterior building envelope of that facility. So in that, the combination of those 4 complete buildings that we did, there's about $26.3 million of actions or things that need to be done in the 0 to 2 years. So that's the critical stuff we need to get done. The total, I think, exposure and stuff on this, on just this portion of it, is about $46 million, almost $47 million. And between these two, if you look at that, about 79% of our exposure is in the Brazos County Detention Center and the Brazos Center. Those two things. You can see the smaller numbers for the courthouse and the sheriff's office. As Trevor mentioned, 06 came in. They did kind of in addition to these 4 buildings, they did 11 other buildings that they walked through, but also really looked at the outside. We did water testing on the outside of those buildings to confirm where we thought we might have leaks so that they could completely identify those. We also, they found additional things as well. And kind of across the board at a lot of the buildings. Again, it's not every one, not real in depth, but we've got sealants around window glazing in a lot of our windows. That's an ongoing maintenance thing that we need to build into our programs. And we don't need to be waiting for failure. We need to be building those in. And so again, you'll start to see that in the budget moving forward. But again, we've got areas that we've got exposure on that we need to get sealed up. That water coming in does ongoing damage. It's not just we can let this one go. It continues to do damage of things that then have to be repaired later. On the ADA side, Trevor mentioned Eddie Hare. He walked around with our ADA person in risk management, as well as some other staff, just to kind of look at the things he's seeing. He does the inspections for TDLR. So when we do a construction project, if there's anything that we touch that requires some ADA, he comes out and does that thing. So he's very familiar with our buildings. And as he walked through, again, we looked at, the numbers will be a little bit off here, but he looked at 16 buildings. One of those, the AgriLife Extension, there was nothing noted there. So in the 15 additional buildings, parking and route was noted in 10 of those. So a parking spot, there could be an ADA spot or a handicap spot outside. If that's not level, if we put it in, it's on a slope, it's not compliant. So we've got to evaluate those. just the route. How do you get from that spot into the building, through the building? Is that route clear? Are we able to, for a person to be able to get in there? We want to make sure we've got those addressed. 7 things with exit and room signs. Again, 5 buildings with fixtures and counter issues, and then 3 with doors and hardware. And some of these things, we'll show them up here. We've got some ways that we can address those, and I know that that Leslie and her team are working on that as well. So the additional reports, again, that total I talked about was not just the $26 million, it's the 51. So that's the priority 1, priority 2 items. The ADA reviews, the additional building envelope reports, and then the 4 fully costed buildings. So the 4 that we talked about, the SO, the jail, the Brazos Center, and the courthouse. So that fully costed base was around $47 million. And then kind of the building envelope, as we looked at pricing that out, what are our exposures on those other 11 buildings? That was about $3.7 million. And then kind of an estimate on the issues with ADA, $0.6 million for that total of $51.1. So kind of waiting turns repairs into replacements and added damage. I talked a little bit about the water damage. We have failed sealants. We have a seam on a roof that's leaking. Poor drainage on a roof that keeps water up there and or around the building itself. We've got water retention up against the building. That's a condition that we can repair. If we don't repair that, then we get into water migration. We get into building materials rotting and decaying. And then we end up with component failures on a wall, a window system, or something else. And then kind of that damage and disruption. What does it take in order for us to fix that? And so that's just kind of an example around what we see when we have water penetration, and again, the importance of the building envelope. But other conditions we have, like on our HVAC equipment, when we talk about the damage and disruption, if we have a chiller or a piece of equipment that goes down, we can go rent a chiller at the cost of $15,000 a month. We can get one here. It'll take a few days to get that done. While we're waiting for parts, we can get that. We can be running off a temporary chiller. We're currently waiting for we've got a chiller rebuild going on at the courthouse now. We've been working on that since January. We're still waiting on parts. That's just the reality of where we are. If we have an elevator, again, trying to be proactive on all of our stuff. If we have an elevator that goes down, if it's a minor repair, we can usually get that done within a week. If it's a major repair that requires a modernization or rebuild, it's 32 weeks. So we order that part, the elevator's down for 8 months while we're waiting on that. So we have to be proactive. We can't wait for things to break down. We've really got to, figure out how do we get those things done in a timely manner. And so on the elevators, we've worked with Kone, who's our current contractor. We had them come in, let's walk through every one of our elevators, open them up, go down. And they come out and services, do a monthly and quarterly service on those. But we can't wait for something to break like that. We've got to be able to be proactive. And so sometimes, deferred maintenance has some huge cost to it. And again, that's downtime. That's inconvenience to the building occupants. Sometimes, again, if you don't have air conditioner, we had no air here a couple weeks ago because of some stuff, and it was a thing that it was so hot we ended up again kind of relocating people for that day just because of the issue. So that's all I got. I'm gonna turn it back over to Trevor and let him take the rest.
All right, I get the fun part to talk about money. So what we're talking about is issues that have compiled over years, years of identifying these things and sort of pushing them to their limits as far as we seemingly can until things fail. And so the ask that we're looking at today, and again, there's a resolution further down the agenda to memorialize this, but would be to take the deferred maintenance program that we've been looking at for the last couple of years at a 10 million valuation and pushing that up to 20. And I don't love coming up here all the time asking for money. And I know Commissioner Brown gives me grief about it every day and puts his hand on his wallet anytime he sees me. But
He's paying for it?
we all are, right? That's Commissioner. And so
Probably not, but we are.
if we didn't have the data to back it up and the numbers to back it up, we wouldn't be up here asking for this. And so that's really what we're here to talk about is putting a program in place by which we can try to get on top of these issues and get to a point where Bob's team is really in a preventative maintenance mode and not a break fix mode 24/7. And so, even at 20 million, that doesn't get us to the 26.3 number that came out of those 4 buildings that are the 0 to 2 year priority. And so this doesn't eliminate the backlog. We still have another 12 or 13 buildings to do these full evaluations on. We looked at envelope on all of them, but there is still mechanical and electrical and plumbing equipment within those facilities that we have yet to identify, and we know some of those that we've got issues with. And so again, at 10 million, that hits about a 38% of that 26.3 immediately critical need that we've got on those facilities. The other thing I'll tell you is we have an agenda item on today, which is the phase 2 work GMP for the Expo project. So we identified and dedicated $10 million in deferred maintenance to the Expo. We used this same kind of process to look at that number and what that needed to be about 3 years ago. And that 10 million is not going to go near as far as we thought it was originally when we got into this. We had split that work up into about 4 phases. We're really not even going to get to phase 4 on the deferred maintenance out of the Expo because of just the increase in cost from both a labor and material standpoint. That 10 million just doesn't really go as far as we thought it did even a year ago, much less 3 years ago. And so again, that's really what's driving this ask today. As we talk about strategy around how we tackle this stuff, and me and Bob, we try to strategize all the time about how do we truly get on top of this, and what truly are the biggest issues. And we all agree it's keeping water out of our buildings, right? Like that is the most critical piece. Life safety, obviously, right there with it. Renewing central plant equipment, and these all have really high dollar price tags to go along with them. Protecting our secure operations, and then removing access barriers from an ADA accessibility perspective. Again, this is probably an ongoing thing. This isn't a one-time ask. We're here to talk about this year, but there are going to be future years that we have to come back and have the same conversation as we continue to evaluate these buildings. We do try to strategize, and the plan is to bundle some of this work as much as we can to limit the amount of times that we have to go out for procurement, so that we can turn contractors loose on some of this stuff as fast as we can. As we look at how we get from now to on top of it, one of the things, and I really just want to touch on this because I feel like it comes up every time we talk about a construction project, but leveraging formal project management and selecting the right delivery method, putting our consultants to work to help us stay out of some of these early reinvestment situations where we're having to go back in and put a lot of capital back in. And I know we kind of end up fighting about it on most projects, but our MEP consultants and our envelope consultants and our commissioning teams, they really do us a solid when we bring them on early, get them involved in the design process, and then check that work as we get from start to finish. We've seen it already on some of the new buildings that we've done. I'll use the ME as an example. I don't expect that we'll have to be in that building for the next 15 years doing any kind of major remodel, less some type of catastrophic failure with some piece of equipment. We really went above and beyond in construction, and that is our intent to move forward doing all of our facilities that way, including this one, including the annex and everything that we've got on tap. One of the things that we've never really dove into as a county, and I've talked to Bob about it too, as we kind of strategize for how we go forward. Job order contracting is a strategy that a lot of municipalities in the state uses to get contractors on essentially a bench based on their qualifications and committed to work task costing early on. And what it does is it allows us as a county and facilities and project management as departments to go out and get proposals from basically a pre-qualified and committed cost baseline set of contractors, so that we don't have to bid something out, evaluate it, work through a contract every single time that we want to go out and do one of these things. And so I've talked to Bob. We're going to work on a policy to get in front of the court with some guardrails around it, obviously from a cost perspective, and again, not trying to take the court out of the equation or anything, but really just trying to get the dollars that we're allocating into actual work much, much faster. And again, so that's the direction. We've got Nina Payne, budget officer, and Marcy Turner, the county auditor, here for any questions that we might have related to the presentation, or, and again, if we would rather deal with those when the resolution comes up down the agenda, that's fine too. So,
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
And I may be confusing some of it. Do we currently have a fund set up with $10 million? Why do you keep referring back to that number?
so it was FY '24, in fiscal year '24, the court dedicated 10 million, allocated 10 million for the Expo deferred maintenance project. And at the time when we kind of came up with that number and that strategy, the intent was to put 10 million into the budget every year. What ended up, and again, this is kind of goes back to strategy. It took us a while to get the design firm and the contractor on the Expo project contracted and then get that work designed. And so we weren't in a place where we could really take on 10 million in this fiscal year. And so we basically skipped FY '25 out of the program, but we're now to the point where we really can't skip. We're going to have to, this is going to have to be an every year thing until we get on top of the buildings.
So once we put the money into this fund, can we pull it out and use it if we need it for something else?
Ooh, that's going to be a budget and or audit question. I'll let Marcy take that one.
Technically, according to GASB, when you, as the highest governing authority, commit the funds, they are only to be used for that purpose until you vote to uncommit the funds.
Okay, so the answer is we can if we vote to uncommit it.
Yes.
Okay.
Just like you can uncommit the emergency reserve fund if you chose to in an emergency.
How much money did we spend on deferred maintenance last year?
I'd have to go back and double check, but we've only executed the phase 1 GMP for the Expo deferred maintenance project. I want to say it was right around $3 million. And again, there's another $3 million on court today. So basically 6 of the 10, and probably not on the 4th of August, but then the 18th, we'll likely have the phase 3, which would basically encumber and greenlight all of the remaining dollars and work associated with the Expo project.
And so this is a question probably for Nina or auditor. Putting $20 million aside, what is going to be the impact on our tax rate this year?
We are committing general fund balance, so there would be no impact on the tax rate.
Okay.
So, important information that I think would have been, at least for me, would have been helpful. And I know you were trying to be brief, so you can get back to me with this. But I think it would be helpful, while we know we have deferred maintenance, to know the age of the building. And in some cases, because we didn't build it, but we acquired it as the county has grown.
Sure.
We've had to buy buildings for operations of the county and for the best use. And so I think in addition to understanding, because, some buildings, kind of like we acquired this building and
Yes.
it has, we see the cost that it was poorly built. But again, it was built I think 40 years ago. So, what we know now, they didn't know back then in terms
Right.
of construction and what they needed to do. And so I think that would be an important part of understanding why number one, the cost of everything is going up. So it's not just the fact that the money that we're going to have to spend, but it does give, for me, and it's an additional understanding of, if we got a 40-year-old building that was poorly built and we want to continue to use this building over the next 50, 75 years, this is what we have to do now, amortizing the cost over those 50 to 75 years. Lump sum, it seems like a lot of information.
Yes.
But over time, if we do it right, and it's just general maintenance over that 50 to 75 years, then the cost, in my opinion, doesn't seem so much. But I do think the age of the building and how we acquired it, how long have we had it?
Sure.
What would be just good information to have if, again, 40-year-old building, so you kind of understand now why the cost of construction or renovation now is so expensive. Because of things that weren't done, because there probably was no code for it.
Right.
40 years ago. So now this is what we have to do. Sort of like the election office. We acquired that building, and now we realize the cost of heating and cooling that and what it takes. And it's such an antiquated system, but it is what it is, and we own the building, so we got to take care of it.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd appreciate that in terms of age and when we acquired it.
Okay.
Trevor, how much money do we have in the account right now?
In the deferred account,
Yes.
there was no money allocated for FY25 for the current fiscal year for deferred maintenance.
Okay.
But you had 10 million originally. It took you 2 years to execute 6 million, and so you should still have 4 million somewhere.
It's tied up in the contract for that work. So that money's not currently
So now you're
fungible to be
asking for
spent to
double that
elsewhere.
amount in the hope that you'll be able to execute it or implement it sooner, quicker?
That is the goal, yes, sir. But I think that's a strategy again that the court's going to need to adopt to allow us to get creative and use all the tools, all the legal tools that the county has from a faster procurement perspective to get contractors actually doing the work.
Trevor, I spent 5 terms on appropriations in the House, and we went through this every single session because our different agencies and the universities had come to us after they had put off taking care of their facilities for 10, 15 years. Then they'd come in and ask for a huge, huge ask, and we had to figure out, where do we come up with the money? There's only so much money that we have.
Sir.
And I went through this with, I was chairman of the finance committee at First Baptist Church. We have 5,000 members, and if y'all are looking for a church home, please come visit us. But we had this huge budget, and we had no money for maintenance, none. And it took me months, but I finally got 200,000 put in that account for deferred maintenance. And the month after that, we had 3 air conditioners go out at $66,000 apiece.
Yeah,
So it doesn't take much.
it does not.
No.
It does not.
And I think that's the optimum word when you say deferred, because people know, people know when things are not working, even when in your personal life, when you think, oh, my air conditioning's going out, I hope it'll make it through the summer,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't. And so I think the optimum word is, we've known we needed to do this. We're now getting to the critical part of why there's some urgency. And so I think that is why it's important that, that we try to move forward with the plan that you have in terms of trying to speed it up so that it doesn't take us 10 or 2 or 3, 4 years. We know we need to do it, but now we're just now getting to it. And so I think with the processes that you've even put in place, hopefully that will help us expedite this. And if it's done in the way that I believe you're operating from a project preparation perspective, that maybe it will be done in a way where we won't have to think about this in the next 15, 20 years. It'll maybe just be general stuff,
Yes, ma'am. That's the goal.
like a spark
Trevor.
plug or something.
Trevor,
I know.
let me tell you what would make me feel a lot better about this. And you and I talked about it briefly when
Yes,
you were
sir.
in my office earlier today. We have all this property and these buildings that we really don't need. And, I want to see them put on the market so we can recoup some money, put these properties, sell them, put them back on our tax rolls, and use some of this money for deferred maintenance. But we talk about it, and we talk about it, and we talk about it, and we don't even have a current list. I mean, if we do, I don't know anything about it. I've never seen a list.
I'll get you a list.
Yeah, please do.
Yes, sir.
But that would make me feel a lot more comfortable about spending $20 million for deferred maintenance, taking it out of the general fund.
Sure.
Well, it's not really out of the general fund, it's out of fund balance. That's
Well,
where
fund
it's at.
balance, yes,
So, we are fortunate here to have fund balance. And-
Absolutely.
And that's really where we can shift if First Baptist didn't have money sitting in a fund balance that they could shift it over, there was a problem, and I'm glad y'all dealt with it. But we are fortunate here in Brazos County to have fund balance, and so it can be shifted in from fund balance over to this deferred maintenance. And it's not like we have to tax them again it's already been taxed and it's sitting in a fund balance. It's just determining where that money should get spent. And deferred maintenance is really I think, the prime place that fund balance should be used.
Any more questions?
Yeah, so
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is you or purchasing. I'm a little concerned that we are not executing those contracts in an expedited manner, and you're now asking for more money with the assumption that we're going to make some difference. So what's going to change?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a multifaceted strategy. I think what we hear a lot of times is sometimes contradictory from the court in a way that we want to move fast, but then we want to bid everything out, right? And so, and I can understand both sides of that coin, but for things like this, at least personally, I feel like there's got to be a little bit of grace to staff to let us go and use the tools and the statutes and the things that are in place to tackle some of these issues quickly, with the support of the court. And you know, me and Charles will put our heads together on what that can kind of look like. But again, I think there's some apprehension to use things like piggyback contracts or buy board because they catch a bad rap sometimes from the court. And so it gives the staff apprehension then to bring those things to y'all for acceptance. And so we can leverage all of those things that are both legal and sound from almost any municipality's perspective. But we don't want to come up here and take the beating for doing those things, because in the end, we're trying to get these things fixed as quickly as we can because again, tomorrow it's going to cost more and the day after it's going to cost more. Mm-hmm. And so there's a time value of money built into this piece that sometimes doesn't always get factored in. And so that would be my ask from the staff's perspective. And if the court's willing to work with us on that, then we will absolutely use every tool that we can.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
y'all.
Trevor.
Thank y'all.
Good job. Thank y'all.
Okay, we will consider and take action on consent agenda items number 1 through 19. And I had two that wanted to speak on number 1, Marcy Turner.
Judge, I believe those are going to be the regular agenda items.
I beg your pardon?
They're going to be the regular, not the consent agenda items.
Oh, that's in the regular.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got you. All right, so we're going to do consider the 1 through 19, and so number 7, we're going to pull it out and vote on all the others with the exception of number 7. Commissioner Nettles wants to abstain from number 7, and so we will vote on, if I get a motion and a second, for the consent agenda for 1 through 19 with the exception of number 7.
I so move.
Second.
Let me get the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve consent agenda items 1 through 19 with the exception of number 7. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Now we're going to go into number 7 in the consent agenda and vote on it. We need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Judge, I'll abstain from voting on number 7.
Okay, so Commissioner Nettles abstained, so it passes. Now we're going to move on to we'll consider and take action on regular agenda items 1 through 14. Number 1 is Resolution 2614, commitment of general fund balance to deferred maintenance, $20 million general fund to deferred maintenance and major repairs for Brazos County buildings in accordance with government accounting standards, Board Statement 54. And Marcy wants to speak on that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Judge and Commissioners, Marcy Turner, County Auditor. I would like to recap some previous meetings for your benefit and also for all of our citizens to provide some context for the resolution that's before you today. In the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting, the Commissioners Court approved adding a 4th floor to the courthouse annex building at an estimated cost of $10 million. During discussion on that agenda item, a commissioner suggested going out for debt to fund the $10 million and possibly more than that amount in the spring of 2026. Other commissioners expressed interest in using debt to fund a portion of the courthouse annex building instead of using fund balance. As a result of that September 9th discussion, we held a workshop on November 12th of 2025 to discuss debt financing on upcoming capital projects. Our bond financial advisors and bond counsel explained the debt issuance process, our current debt capacity, and a timeline for important decision dates concerning a bond issuance in the spring of 2026. During the February 24th regular meeting of the Commissioners Court, Project Manager Trevor Lansdowne reviewed preliminary results of the deferred maintenance evaluation of 4 county buildings and the draft budget on the courthouse, Brazos Center, Detention Center, and Sheriff's Office totaled at that point $33 million with $20 million of that amount being needed in the next 2 years for life safety and code critical issues. Later, in that February 24th, 2026 regular meeting, the Commissioners Court approved the notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation. And during discussion on that agenda item, several commissioners expressed their support for using debt to finance long-term capital assets and using fund balance to pay for deferred maintenance. On May 19th, 2026, we held a successful bond sale, and the Commissioners Court authorized the issuance of certificates of obligation to fund a portion of the costs of the new county annex and the renovation of the administration building. Earlier today, just a few minutes ago, Project Manager Trevor Lansdowne and Director of Facilities Bob Lampkin updated you on the deferred maintenance projections for the first 4 buildings in review, and they requested $20 million to be spent in FY27, to be allocated in FY27. It probably won't all get spent in FY27, but to be budgeted for FY27 to allow them to bundle work across buildings and get work started. This resolution is the next step in this process of using fund balance to pay for deferred maintenance, a strategy that was expressed by this court back in February. Committing this $20 million of fund balance for deferred maintenance demonstrates to citizens, to our current bondholders, and to future bondholders that the county desires to issue debt for long-term capital assets and use fund balance to maintain current county buildings. If we commit $20 million to deferred maintenance, we can attack the $50 million estimated today and mitigate increases in that estimate due to inflation. What happens if we don't commit the fund balance? Extending the timeline to attack the estimated $50 million in deferred maintenance lends us more susceptible to inflation and costs the county more money. With the increased talk from the state on property tax reform, extending the timeline on completing this deferred maintenance may mean funding it in the future with tax revenues in an environment where the state restrains our ability to increase the tax rate. Do you have any questions?
Just a comment. The word inflation, it just says we're trying to outrun inflation by trying to get this done in a timely manner. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes.
Because everything is going up.
Yes.
Marcy, the problem is that the general public just thinks we're spending a bunch of money, taxpayer money. And I know we're not. I mean, I understand what they ask for here. But the scary part is our governor is going around the state telling citizens all over the state that they need to have rollback elections in municipal government. And that means if that happens, then you have to decide, okay, what services are you willing to give up? If we're going to roll back 10 cents, what are you going to give up? You're going to give up law enforcement, you're going to give up jails, you're going to give up roads and bridges. So I don't have any problem with the 20 million. I thought I did earlier. But what I have a problem with is making it so the public understands where the money's coming from and what we're going to do with it. They don't know. We just need to get the word out. That's the thing that bothers me the very most.
That's on us.
Well, I think
To communicate with our constituents.
Yeah, but.
And try as much as we can, and it's hard to do. I know it's hard to do, trying to explain how county government works, for example.
I understand your concerns, Commissioner Brown. I think the biggest issue is the deferred maintenance problem is not going to go away, no matter what happens at the state.
I agree.
And we have fund balance to commit 20 million of it right now to get started and start to knock it out. And then depending upon what happens next summer, with the legislature, then we reassess at that point.
Well, and my challenge is, I support preparing our buildings so we can stay in them longer. It makes sense to me, but we have got to expedite the implementation of the budget. If we're sitting on something, and maybe that means some new department heads, quite frankly, we need to make, if we allocate funds to be done during a budget year, I expect that to happen. Not come back to us the next year and go, well, we only got through about 50% of it. You know, that's y'all's job. That's staff's job. We approve the budget, staff spends the money. So.
No, I'm not speaking as the auditor, but
I know.
that
You're-
that I
you're
do
just
know.
the person standing there,
I
sorry.
do know that on some of these, especially when we bundle some of these large projects together, if we were to do all the HVAC on 4 buildings at one time, that's a multi-million-dollar contract. And I think trying to chunk those into larger scale contracts, we get over $10 million very quickly. It may not get completed, but we have to have the funds to encumber it to get the contract signed.
Right.
And so I think the ask here is giving project management
But the
facilities
funds,
the
but
$20
the
million
funds were
to
distributed
to cumber it.
for the expo, and those still hadn't been executed. So it's not,
I can't speak to that, sir.
I know. So what I'm wanting is to, you know, if we're gonna allocate $20 million, there needs to be some fire amongst staff to get those contracts in place and executed.
But in defense of what Trevor said, we by law and statute can't just go out and just automatically choose a vendor. We have to, by law and statutes, go out for bids. We cannot just assign that. And going out the bid process takes time.
I don't
You
think that's what he said.
Yes, he did. He
No.
did say by
And
law
we
and
can call him back
statute.
up here, because what I think he said was that they were hesitant to bring it to the court because the court had been questioning us not going out to bids, that we could use other processes to expedite it. And I'm in favor of that as long as we're taking care of taxpayer money. But you shouldn't have to come up to us to get a bid and go forward if we've approved this action to repair these buildings.
Okay, explain the process.
Yes, sir. So a couple things. On the expo presented lots of challenges. We didn't shut the facility down, right? We didn't cancel any events that they had going on out there, and so it's just a constraint we don't have in most buildings, and so that has caused some time delays and everything else, because there's weeks where they've got. I mean, last week they had the 4-H horse show and we couldn't do any work.
Well, now, wait a minute. So the 4 buildings that you talked to us about, the Brazos Center, the detention center, and the sheriff's office, we're not shutting down any of those operations while we're fixing them?
No, we would not, but we're not going to cancel someone's event, a paying customer to the expo, so that we can fix a toilet, right? We can move inmates into other pods. We can move staff into other spaces so that we can get this work done. It's a lot easier to move our own people than it is to move a paying customer to one of our event facilities. And so just wanted to make a note on that. It also, I think we learned a lesson through the work at the expo too. I think that was sort of our experimental project on the front end. I think we probably, again, I think after going through it, putting it all underneath the general contractor to fully design all of the work before we cut loose, I think we would shift gears. I think we would do it a little differently this time. And where it makes sense to package large work packages together, I think absolutely, because you do get a cost benefit to that. But I think getting specific subcontractors knocking some of this work out that, again, doesn't necessarily potentially maybe arise to bidding it out, but again, working around the parameters that every other county gets to work around. I think we leverage those opportunities in a way to get work turned quicker.
But that doesn't say you didn't already have the bids in place. That just said once you got the bid for the work to be done, there were extenuating circumstances from the operation of the facility that slowed the process down. But
Yes.
you already had the bid, but getting to the bid in terms of bringing the bid to the court back and forth in terms of what we were expecting was some part of the delay.
Right. Yeah. And not to get too in the weeds with it, but when you go into design on a project, say for a new build, it's easy because you're not going to start the project at least until the design is almost complete. And so the design team is working with their MEP engineers and their civil engineers and their structural engineers, and everybody's kind of doing their part. But you expect that that's going to take 8 months to a year. When on something like deferred maintenance, because we decided to kind of do it all under one package and all under one contractor at the expo, that mechanical engineer may have only had one air handler on the project, but because of the strategy that we use to try to execute that project, it's tied up with all of the other work, right? The roof design and the electrical design. And so all of that being one stamped set of drawings and specifications from a contractor then has to go to permitting, and then the subcontract work gets bought, and then. And so, again, I think, talking to Bob about how the expo's gone, we would shift that up a little bit. And where we can, keep the work packages a little smaller and get work turned quicker, so that we can kind of just individually assign those different disciplines to their work. So.
Trevor, it's like on a regular basis, we have change orders that come across, and we have them all the time. And what can we do to mitigate that? I mean, on these big contracts, they have a percentage built in, correct? They have a percentage built in that are supposed to take care of overages.
For contingencies.
Yes, for
Yes, sir.
contingencies. And then I've heard you tell me in the past that if they don't use all that contingency money, we get it back.
Yes, sir.
I've never seen anybody give it back.
Oh, there's several road projects and things that we end up doing deductive change orders on the end. We will have one on the MEO here in the next month, few weeks to a month or so. So difference between contingencies and change orders. And again, not to get too in the weeds on this, but any added time to a contract, generally we like to encumber in a change order, a contract change order. And again, any one item that might cost more than we're carrying in contingency, because a lot of times we only carry somewhere between, 3 and 8% of the total contract costs within our contract for contingencies. We like to bring that back to the court. It's also, just from my own personal philosophy, large scale changes on projects, I think the court needs to be bought in on those before we just sign off on those from our perspective, from a contingency side. So we're trying to limit change orders. Remodels are tough. Those always introduce unknown conditions that we don't know. Newer builds, it's a little easier, but we try to limit it as much as we can, but we can't get rid of all of them. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all. I had one other that wanted to speak, Kathy Vins.
Oh, sit down. Y'all don't need me.
Did you want to say something, Nina? Let me let Kathy speak. She
I have to thank you, Commissioner Nettles, for that very perfect question that you asked, and how can we expedite these expenditures so that we can keep within the budget that's already been approved and spend that money before the cost exceeds the anticipated amount. So I had the budget printed for this year's budget, 25-26, and I randomly looked at some of the costs that were in this year's budget for maintenance and repairs. And so, for example, the Sheriff's Administration Building, in this year's budget, we have $250,000. In the Jail Administration, there's $900,000. For the Roads and Bridges Administration, we have $8 million. And for the Expo Center, as discussed, we have the $10 million. So we already have that amount of money set aside. And if I'm not really clear, the $10 million, for example, for the Brazos Center, we've spent $6 million. $4 million has to stay attached to that part of the project, but now we're going to add more money into it to affect the same updates. Is that the concept? Do you know? Commissioner Nettles?
Can I respond?
Please.
Yeah. No, so what he just explained was that we had $10 million obligated under contract.
Right.
So that money is already obligated. It's not really something we can spend on anything else. The expo was not in the presentation in terms of us doing additional work out there.
Okay.
There were 4 buildings that they identified: the Brazos Center, the Detention Center, the jail, and the Sheriff's Office, I think.
Yeah, the Brazos Center is new to this. We're talking about the expo.
Oh, okay. I definitely conflated
different
the two.
building.
I definitely
Two different
conflated them.
buildings.
Okay, so the sheriff's building that has the $1 million, well, between the administration building and the Sheriff's Administration Building, that's about $1 million. Is that? inclusive of what today is. I understand all the maintenance and stuff. I don't have a problem with keeping up to date, and I understand the need for it. I'm not questioning that. I'm just wondering if we're double crediting money that hasn't been spent. Now we're going to add to it. I'm just wondering what the
No.
No.
crossover is.
No, that's not
If it
my
could be,
understanding.
I understand your no, but I would like an explanation of the no.
Thank you.
Nina Payne, Budget Officer. Regarding the repairs and maintenance in each departmental, it's just not buildings. It's going to be your copier. It's going to be road and bridge. It's going to be their equipment. Sheriff's office and the jail, it's their lawnmowers for the work crew. It's trailers. And so when you see the repair and maintenance line item in the budget, it's just not for buildings. It's for other repairs that can take place. Does that answer?
Well, and the road and bridge was not in this.
No, but she was
that
pinpointing
is
that budget
a
item.
almost a rebuild of that entire building. It's in sad shape out there.
Because
It
it's
needs
old,
work done.
yep, it's an old.
Right, but regarding the repair and maintenance that Kathy was referring to, that's what it was. And within that repair and maintenance for road and bridge that she was referring to, it's for repair and maintenance on the roads, not just the buildings. I do want to tell Trevor and Bob, as well as Marcy, great job on presenting for the deferred maintenance. Applaud to them because I sent to those meetings, and it's a lot of information. But from a budget officer's perspective, I strongly support increasing the deferred maintenance program to $20 million. This request is not about spending money or adding more money. It's about avoiding significantly higher costs in the future. The assessment identified more than $51 million in deferred maintenance needs across our facilities, with $26.3 million requiring attention of my time.
How rude.
I know. I was just getting to the good part. Today, we have the opportunity to address critical infrastructure before minor repairs become major capital replacements. Every year we delay, we increase the likelihood of emergency failures. Take, for instance, the clinic and elections office where we had to shut it down, relocate to try to fix the AC. Operational disruptions and more expensive repairs. As the report states, waiting turns repairable conditions into full replacement projects. Even with $20 million program, we are not eliminating the backlog. We're simply creating enough capacity to stabilize the highest risk facilities, protecting county operations, and begin working through a documented maintenance plan as they brought the documents to you. In fact, a $10 million program addresses only 38% of the near-term need, while increasing the funding to $20 million raises that approximately to 76%, while still leaving additional work ahead. As stewards of taxpayer dollars, our responsibility is not only to fund today's operations, but also to protect the county's assets for future generations. Deferred maintenance is a liability that continues to grow with time. Investing now reduces future costs, minimizes emergency spending, extends the life of our facilities, and provides greater budget stability for future years. For those reasons, I recommend supporting the proposed $20 million deferred maintenance program. It is fiscally responsible investment that protects both our infrastructure and taxpayers' investments for Brazos County. Thank you.
All right, thanks,
So,
Nina.
I just had one other comment,
Sure, okay.
Judge, if that's all right. I don't want anybody to take the hard questions I'm asking as a reflection that our staff isn't doing their job. They absolutely are. They do great work. But in part, you bring it on yourself. I noticed I got the read-ahead last night for this presentation. So if you give me more time, then I can probably ask you questions not in a public forum. I need to have the read-ahead so I understand what we're doing. Otherwise, I'm going to do my job and ask you those questions. I might put you on the spot. And if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry, but that's my job also. But I think y'all did a great job, and I support this. So I'd like to move that we approve this resolution, Judge.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion?
Judge, initially I was going to try to split this up over 2 years, but I have since then drunk the Kool-Aid. I understand the importance of this, but I do want us to accelerate looking at properties that we can sell and putting that money back into our county coffers. So,
I think that is part of the master plan. That's what they're
yes, sir.
working
I just wanted to accelerate it.
on. Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 2 is approval requesting a temporary variance for the comp time policy for landscaping department.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. And I think this, Bob, I mean, you may want to speak to it, but I think it was, we've got a contract with an outside company that does some of our landscaping, and they've not been able to keep up with the job, and y'all are having to work overtime to make sure that the properties all look like they should.
Yes, sir. Bob Lampkin, Director of Facility Services. Yeah, we have a contract with a vendor, and recently that contract. Local vendor. And we are coming to the end of that contract. We weren't able to renew that. And we've already put the next, it's already out for bid. We're walking all the properties tomorrow with prospective people who are going to bid on that project. But just for example, yesterday we went to work on the expo. We have a show out there this week. We needed to get that done. They came out, did a little bit. I sent our crew out there this morning. They're out there getting it buttoned up so that it looks good for the show that we've got going on. In this case, it's a temporary variance, mainly because we're going to accrue the, normally we would be in a compensatory comp time situation. They're going to accrue that time between now and the end of that contract, so October 30th. There's not enough time for them to take that comp time in addition to their vacation before the end of the year. So we're just requesting that, that this variance for that. The funds are there. It's not an issue of that. It's just, and we'll only use them if we need them. We didn't plan on going out to the expo this morning. When our staff drove out there on his way into work at 5:30, we reallocated the team and moved that direction, and we'll do that as needed to keep our facilities looking like they need to.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 3 is approval of Brazos County Proclamation Certificate Recognition Policy Guidelines.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 4 is approval of amendment number 1, 25-151, legal representation of juveniles with Gendron and Flanagan to extend another year at a reduced rate.
I guess so.
Move
So
approval.
moved.
Sorry, Patrick.
Move approval.
Thank you,
I
Patrick.
think that qualifies you as local.
And I hear you,
Yeah, I think so too.
I hear you're doing a fine job, so.
Absolutely.
Move approval.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 5 is approval of change order number 2, CIP 25-565, construction manager at risk for building maintenance for Brazos County Expo Center with Spa Glass Construction.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 6 is approval of change order for number 5 with RFP 18-097 Juvenile Justice Center expansion with Collier Construction in the amount of $221,203.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is approval of contract 26-107E Bond Master Service Contract with the Genesis Group.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 8 is approval of contract 26-110 extradition services for prisoners for Brazos County with U.S. Corrections LLC.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is award RFP to number CIP 26-553 Democrat Road Reconstruction. Recommended award is Knife River Corporation South.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is award RFP CIP 26-554 Dick Elliott Road Reconstruction. Recommended award is Larry Young Paving, Inc.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 11 is award bid 27-006 road striping and pavement marker materials. Recommended vendor TRP Construction Group LLC.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is award of bid 27-009 asphalt oils and emulsions. Recommended vendor Ergon Asphalt and Emulsions.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. We will skip down to the acknowledgements. An acknowledgement of the monthly report submitted in July of 2026. Acknowledgement of the FY 2025-26 budget to actuals by fund of, as of July 15, 2026. And an acknowledgement of the FY 2025-26 contingency budget to actual by fund as of July 15, 2026. Number 3 is acknowledgement of the monthly report from the county auditor of May of 2026. And 4 is acknowledgement of personnel change status of elected officials. We'll move down to the announcement of interest items and possible future agenda topics. And first, we'd like to congratulate Constable Donald Lampo and team led by Deputy Constable Tony Piccolo on a successful back-to-school bash. Tony received the 2026 State of Texas Law Enforcement Achievement Award for public service at the Texas Capitol.
So congratulations.
Tony's not here because Donald didn't read the agenda and see this on there, so I apologize for that. But that day we gave out, I think it was 1,500, a little over 1,500 backpacks and school supplies. And 75 pizzas. We had everybody just loving pizzas and drinking water, but it was a huge success. So it's been such a success that we've had 4 other organizations here in Brazos County change the name of theirs to Back to School Bash like ours now. So we're being copied good. So we're doing it. He's doing a great job on that, and we're going to continue. We don't have a place to move. We're going to consolidate it a little better next year on passing out good stuff to the children. It was great. We had a good time. Thank you.
Thank you for your community effort.
you.
All right. Any other announcement of interest items and possible future agenda topics?
Judge, just, we had the incident down at Precinct 1 with the bicyclist Hannah Rapp, and there was a hearing across the street this morning on that. I would just ask everybody to keep her family and friends in your prayers. Senseless tragedy. I hope we can move toward resolving it quickly.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to also mention Bill Thornall, who was a chief deputy constable under the old system Precinct 7 Constable's Office. He passed away this past week. He had been a Bryan police officer for a long time and then moved to the constable's office and was there for a long time. So keep his family in their prayers.
Also Norwood Robinson.
I saw that
Dr. Haywood
too.
Robinson.
Haywood Robinson, yeah.
Yes, it's
he
Haywood.
yeah,
Yep.
he just passed away.
Anybody of my age and Dwayne's age, he wrote a ticket too.
I wasn't going to say anything about that.
You probably deserved it.
We did.
Any other announcement?
Judge, I'd like for us to get an inventory of fleet vehicles by department and for us to have that on a workshop in the future. So,
Okay.
thank you.
If there's nothing else, we will move up to the executive session and convene an executive session pursuant to the following. A's 551.071, consultation with attorney. Commissioners Court will meet with a closed session to seek advice of its attorney pending a contemplated litigation and settlement offer or a matter of which the duties of the attorney for the Commissioners Court of the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the state Government Code 551, Civil Action Number 424 CV 1974, Belinda Jackson versus Brazos County in the United States District Court of the Southern District of Texas. And then B is a 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. Commissioners Court will meet in a closed session to discuss and deliberate regarding commercial and or financial information that commissioners will receive from a business prospect that the Commissioners Court seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in near Brazos County, in which the Brazos County Court is conducting an economic development negotiations to deliberate the offer of financial or other incentives in the business prospect with Commissioners Court that seeks to have to locate, stay, or expand in near Brazos County. It's a tax abatement agreement between Brazos County and and Relish Campus Data and Research Center LLC. And then C is 551.074 to discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, and discipline of general counsel. And let me see what the list is to see who we need to get. Maybe it's on this side.
Judge.
Do you have a list over there? Okay. It got buried under my stack here. Okay, for A, it's Tiffany Pham, is outside counsel, Andrew, Katie, Aubrey, Chief Kevin Stewart, and/or Sheriff Dickey, Rihanna McConaughey, and Jennifer from HR. And then in the tax abatement, it will be Andrew, Katie, and Aubrey, of course, and Cord and Aubrey. And then general counsel position C would be Andrew, Katie, Aubrey, and I think is Kyle Cassell still around? Is it? I see him back there. Okay, yeah, we'll get you come in on that too. And the time is 11:41. Okay, we're coming out of executive session. It is 12:38. There's no action to be taken. Next item is to adjourn. Thank y'all.